New England weather weenies, let's talk the first frost. We're going to do this in a couple sections. We're just going to hit on it today because I got to give you guys a ballpark. Like, is it coming soon? Is it still a ways off? So, if we were to look at 30 years worth of data from 1971 to 2000, this correlates here. You see these dates with where these frosts and freeze are. So, you can see we're seeing up until you get to those blues, seeing that first frost or freeze happen frequently in September during this 30-year period. Data sets, however, have been updated to reflect the time that's happened since then. So if you look at a 30-year data set from 1991 until 2020, you can see the vast differences here. Now these blue areas that you see, these like darker blue areas, not that navy, but that like medium blue, is October 1st, and you see the areas that don't get their first freeze until then, and places later. You definitely see a warm shift that's undeniable. The National Weather Service has kind of looked over this data set once again because they actually issue like frost and freeze warnings during different times of the year when it's during the growing season. And so they actually have gone through and figured out when the growing season begins and ends. And it's during those times they do frost and freeze warnings. And when we're not in the growing season, you don't get those. So for extreme northern locations, the growing season is May 21st to October 1st. If you go more like central, May 11th through October 11th, and if you're coastal, May 1st to October 21st. And a review of some definitions for you down here. A frost is when temperature is going to hit 32 or be colder. A hard freeze is that temperature is going to be dropping to 28 Fahrenheit or colder. So that's what the 30-year average says. But how are things looking right now? In New England, we're forecast to be warm through the end of September. So this isn't going to be an early season thing. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to do a deep dive into some specific locations and actually take a look at your history of frost and freeze dates. That's going to be coming in a later post. So until then, know you got a little while. We're going to dive back into this again when it's a little bit more relevant.